Today, I'm very, very honored to have one of my living legends, Alan Esche, on. Alan, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, yeah, is this your first podcast that you've done?
I had to ask you what a podcast was when we came in, so figure that out for yourself.
That's Alan 101. Matter of fact, this feels no different than the first day I met you when I interviewed. For those of you that don't know Alan and I go way back to my McAllister days. If you've listened to the show at all, that was probably one of my favorite parts of my career growth was the McAllister machinery. And Alan is the guy that hired me along with Jay. And I remember our first interview. It was very similar to this. It was very laid back, very funny, and very to the point. And
he hired you.
You did. Yeah, I don't know why. So I'll never forget this story. And Dan Harley, I don't know if he probably don't listen to this show, but he's the one that got me into McAllister.
I remember you saying that.
He was in the rental division.
Yep.
And we're on the old cul-de-sac one winter, and I was really going through a tough time in terms of like where I wanted to go, like employment-wise and career-wise, and I've always been in sales, and Dan kind of recognized that. He's like, hey, we got an opening over at McAllister selling ag equipment. And I said, hell, that sounds all right. He's like, I could probably get you an interview. I said, well, let's do it. So get in there, and I met you and Jay and at Brookville Road, and I was nervous as hell. I didn't know what I was doing.
That was always a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a fish out of water here. But I'm gonna persevere and try this out. And that interview process, that was not easy. It was not easy, and that's back. I mean, hell, that was 100 years ago. How long ago was that? 10 years ago, maybe.
Probably
yeah.
At least, yeah.
Maybe at least. It was like you had to get through 3 like sections, and it was brutal. And every time it kind of sucked because at Brookville. It reminded me of that movie, I think it's Liar, Liar, Jim Carrey, where he's like, he loses his job, and he's like getting in the car, he shuts his little Mercedes off, and he looks, there's 800 other Mercedes, and all of a sudden, the same 800 type of guys are rushing in for the same one-job interview. That's what it felt like. So you'd meet your competition in the vestibule. There's 6 of us. And there was when I got
didn't
hired.
Remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought, hell, I got to beat 5 of these motherfuckers. I can do that. I didn't think I would, to be honest with you. The one guy, he actually walked out. He goes, this is too many people for one job. He's like, I got an interview over at John Deere. So he left. So it was down to 5 of us. I'll never forget that part. But I remember sitting in front of you and Jay, just nervous as hell. And you guys made it super, super comfortable. After you got past a certain point, you guys made it pretty comfortable.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. We tried to.
But I think
it's always more fun when you're on the hiring side than it is the interviewee side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is why I'm self-employed. That sucked, man. That sucked. I don't ever want to go back to that, but I guess
you take tests and stuff before you can even come in.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, we had to pass a bunch of tests.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man.
It wasn't for the faint of heart.
No, it wasn't at all. I tell you what, though, that was, in terms of a sales job, that was the best job I ever had. And it's because of you and Jay. And then we got to do the Lucian sales training. That was a lot of fun. Old Prickle.
Yeah.
I want to reach out to him, too, see if he wants to get over
somebody
here.
Hadn't shot him yet,
yeah. I said, you put the prick in Prickle. You know that?
Yeah.
He threw a pin at me. We'd have to go to the Carmel on, was it Fridays? Every second Friday after our sales meeting.
Yeah, every Friday, yeah.
We'd go in there and Prickle, he's like, we're trying to groom a bunch of sales guys here, and you guys are over there telling jokes, and all of a sudden I smarted off. He throws a pin at me, and we all looked around. We're like, well, we better take this a little more serious.
Yes. We had people in tears in that class sometimes.
Oh, yeah. It was brutal.
Yeah. But it was hardcore, but you learned a lot.
Oh, my gosh. Jeff knows this. He knows my story. A lot of people that are super close to me know my story. And I talk about my McAllister days often. And I remember when you grow up, I'm 46. I'm old as hell now. But the
Yeah.
last 15 years was kind of hell. It kind of molded me to do what I'm doing now today. And I always talk about people giving back and people trying to, like, I've tried to level up in my life, and I always try to bring people up with me, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And it's not my formula. It's your formula. You taught me that. There's probably more lessons that you've taught me that I've probably forgotten more than I retained, if I'm being honest. That's how legendary of a tenure I had there at McAllister. I remember our sales meetings. Some people are going to laugh at this. You taught us how to shake hands.
Yeah.
You taught us the difference between cockiness and arrogance.
Yep.
You taught us how to be a man. You taught us how to respect people. You taught us. I mean, I was 100% sponge when I was at McAllister Machinery. So I just want to say thank you for that. I would not be here today without you, and that is that's the gospel truth. Alan Esche is in my Mount Rushmore. You are in my Mount Rushmore for sure. You're number one. Well, my dad and you right there, 1 and 2. And then I got 2 more that I'm hoping to have on the show. But you are on my Mount Rushmore for sure. So I just want to say thank you, first of all, before we get into this too much, for coming on the show. Not knowing what the hell this thing is. You just came in blind. And it means the world to me that you're here, that you made the trip. So thank you for that.
Well, I'm glad you reached out to me.
Yep. Well, we're done. So anybody follow? Just kidding. we got more to talk about. So tell me what's we'll come back to the McAllister stuff, but what has life been like? Because you retired shortly. Well, you retired about when I quit, right in that time frame. What's life been like after McAllister?
Well, I retired multiple times, and I've officially retired. My career, I call it in the corporate world. I left that back 20 some years ago, and I got into, before I met you. I was a friend of mine started a company back in 2001, 2002. There's a long story that goes with that. We'd been in business together, and we had a bad falling out. Was so happy I'd never see that son of a bitch again. And it was a real God moment that put us back together. And as soon as we met again, it was all 10 years later, it was healed. And so we got real close, and he and his son wanted to start a company. They didn't know what they wanted to do. So I was up in his office one day talking to him, and he goes, well, we decided what we're going to do. I go, what are you going to do? He goes, well, we're going to start a directional drilling company.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, good. What's that? Well, you drill under roads, you drill under buildings and stuff like that. I said, have you ever even sat on one of those drills? Nope. He goes, but I got one. I bought one. And his son had been doing that. He knew the trade. And the son knew the trade. The dad knew how to do business. So very, very proud of him. And long story short, a few years later, he called me one day, and he goes, hey, what you doing? I said, well, nothing. He goes, no, I mean, what are you doing for a job? I said, well, nothing right now. I just finished up a project for a trucking company that guy was wanting to retire, and I helped get his company built up to a sellable venue. So I wasn't doing anything. And he goes, well, come to work for me. I said, no. He goes, well, why?
Alan's really good at saying no and like quickly. Why I've got you real quick. You are one of less than that I can count on one hand that can say 3 words and get 10 or 15 people moving. That is a gift. You and Bud Myers are the only 2 people I know that can say very little and get a crowd of people to get shit done. I just want to say that. That's something I've
Would I scare the crap out of him?
No, you have a fatherly or an authoritative way to say, no, we're not doing that. Go do that. And we're like, yes, sir. And we go do it. Huh. There's not very many people can do it like you. So go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted.
Wow.
I interrupt a lot. Sorry.
Some things never change.
That's true. Thanks for remembering.
So, long story short, I went to work for him and loved it. Outside, I didn't like it in the winter, but they didn't have a building or anything like that, and they had added some more equipment and some more employees. And he goes, "It's getting big enough. I can't handle it. I need help." So, okay. So, well, the thing that really kicked it was I said, "No, I don't know anything about drilling. I don't want to work out in the cold. I don't want to do this, that stuff." I said, "Besides that, I'm going to go to ministry full time." He goes, "Well, this is a ministry." I go, "Well, it isn't." He goes, "No, we take a lot of young guys in. A lot of them been incarcerated. A lot of these guys didn't have any father figure, no guidance in their life or anything." I thought, well, that's right up my alley. So primarily I went into that. Plus I love the equipment. And I've always loved the smell of dirt and that kind of stuff. I grew up on a farm, loved running excavation equipment. It just, the smell of fresh turned soil is undescribable.
Oh, it really is. Yeah, it is.
And if you like that stuff.
Yes. Yep.
And I do. So we did that. We brought a lot of guys in, and it was just a wonderful feeling to see that not everybody made it, but some of them did. In fact, some of them are still there today. And that's a very gratifying, fulfilling feeling when you have seen and been a part of somebody down low and helped them grow up to be able to do something.
Man, I've heard this from you ever since day one. This kind of story since day one since I've met you. You haven't changed a bit. That's awesome.
Well, it takes too much effort to change. But that's just, that's one of my gifts is being around people. And I love it. I love people. People are the most rewarding thing to work around.
Yep.
They are also the most stressful thing to work around. So you've got to get that right balance. And I'm certainly no expert, but I have done okay with that kind of stuff.
He's an expert. Don't let him sell you short. He's an expert at it.
But so anyway, so I did that for several years, and I was content. And I got a phone call, or I got an email, said, "Would you come to McAllister and be a sales manager?" I thought, "Well, what is it? What kind of sales manager?" "For agriculture." I thought, "Oh, crap, I wanted to do that since I was 5 years old. That'd be a lot of fun." So long story, got a hold of Jay, and I just called him. I said, "Look, I got an email. You're looking for somebody." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I don't know if I'm interested in what you got. I don't know if you're interested in me, but let's sit down and talk."
Did you know him beforehand?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know that part.
Took me 2 or 3 meetings to learn how to say his last name. So we're sitting there talking in the interview like you were, except I wasn't. Of course, I was a lot older and bumps and bruises in life more than what you've been through even at your age yet. So I was interviewing him. He was interviewing me. We talked about everything except the job. And I said, "You seem like a pretty nice guy. I don't know if you're interested in taking the next step, but I might be." He goes, "Oh, I am too."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, how long is it going to take? How long is this interview process?" As you know, that's lengthy.
It's brutal.
McAllister's, and I loved working at McAllister's.
Me too.
I have nothing negative to say about McAllister's at all.
100% same.
But one of their facts of life there is decisions take a while.
Yep.
You go through a process to get a decision. So I said, "Well, how long does it normally take to get hired on if I get the next steps?" "Oh, it'll be maybe 4 or 6 weeks." "Oh, okay, I'm in no hurry." 2 weeks later, I was sitting at the desk.
Hired and fired.
Yeah. And he crash course into what they do and stuff, and it just, you're trying to get a sip of water out of a fire hose. And
I was hoping you were going to say that before I did.
It's just not only the division that we were in, but McAllister's as a whole family unit with all the different divisions. It was so exciting, so fun. And we got to the point we needed to add, I forget how long I'd been there before you came on board.
I feel like you were there a year or two. It wasn't much. You weren't there long.
That sounds about right.
Because you built a hell of a sales team. Like, it went from, I think, a few to, when I was there, there's 12 of us.
Oh, we had that many?
We had 12 at one point, and then you remember we were up, and then we started. I was hired right at the peak of ag, right as the roller coaster was starting to go down.
Yeah.
That's when I came on board.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time in history they'd ever had a downturn
Yeah.
in the ag economy like they did.
Oh,
Ag equipment economy like they did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's always nice to be a part of history.
Yeah. It sure is.
Plus, we were selling a tremendously underdogged product brand.
Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't inferior,
No.
but the market perception, John Deere's got it all sewed up.
It was like bringing Tesla into the Ford country right
Yeah,
at first,
yeah.
kind of a concept.
Good equipment, and it was always – I'd get so aggravated that I eventually just started laughing. You could prove why this piece of equipment was better than the brand they're running.
Yes.
They would agree with you.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's better equipment. And sometimes it was cheaper, not always. It had a premium product. But what would you like? Let's just get one. No, I'll get a John Deere.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's great. It's way better, more efficient. We'll still get a Deere. Yeah. Nothing runs like a Deere, right?
So, at AGCO, and I like their organization too. It was. I still follow a lot of the AGCO.
I do too. I still follow like Kirby Woods and all them guys. Yeah.
He was a super guy.
Oh, he's awesome.
There's just a lot of great people that we worked with, and I miss them all. But
I do too.
But anyway, so I was there, and Jay said, he goes, because if you think I'm abrupt and direct, he was the poster child of abrupt and direct. He goes, Chris McAllister told me I need to get somebody a little bit more personable than me. So
Than you personally?
No, Jay, he had to get somebody more personable than himself.
Oh.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was.
That's quite
because Jay was just boom, 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 boom.
He's a killer, man.
Oh, to this day he is.
Yeah.
We still have lunch once a month or something.
I respect the hell out of that guy too. I do.
And he just, I tell him now, I said, look, you need to throttle it back a little bit. You don't have to be so aggressive with everything in life, but that's just the way he is.
I need to hear that. Because I'm wired the way he is, and it's probably a turnoff to most people.
Well, but he gets things done.
Yeah.
So you got to it's like life. You got to get the right balance in life with everything. Mm-hmm. So I think we made a good team together.
There is no doubt in my mind that was the best team. I'm being for real. You two together was unbelievable. I can say that now because I've been away from it for so long. I still feel that way.
Well, that does mean a lot to hear that from anybody.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we was there, and we made a lot of progress. If you remember, we also had the contract for selling Kloss combines.
Hell yeah.
And
I remember that.
Those meetings with the factory were never pleasant. Never. Because, we had a handful of guys covering the whole state of Indiana. Mm-hmm. You guys are covering multiple counties. Logistically, that was just an impossibility, but that's just the way we had to do it. Mm-hmm. And there was, you weren't in on some of these meetings. The president of Kloss North America, and I forget his name.
It's a name it's hard to pronounce. I know who you're talking about.
But he was a nice guy, but he was a corporate guy. And our rep we had before, I can't think of his name either, he didn't like us. So it was always, every time we met, we're going to pull your contract, Then we get Chris McAllister and Doug Clark. Nobody pulls our contracts. We decide what we're going to sell, what we're not going to sell.
I love that.
You get out there, you sell those combines. Okay, we'll sell them. So we was at a dinner meeting one night, and this president, whatever his name was, he's not there anymore. He looked at me across the table like we are, and he goes, Alan, your performance is bad on selling these combines, which was a heck of a combine. To this day, they're just the cream of the crop.
They really are, and I noticed they changed the color of them. They're green, white, and red now, which I knew that was going to happen when we left. It wasn't the cat yellow.
Well, the only
anymore.
reason they were yellow was because the cat dealer said they got to be yellow.
Yep.
Everywhere else in the world, they were the green and
I'm
white.
glad they switched back, personally.
Well, it never bothered me, but some of that. So he sat across the table from me. He goes, Alan, do you run your sales force or do they run yours? Because they're not trying to sell these things. And I called him by name, whatever it was, and I said,
Wasn't Reinhold, was it?
No.
Anyway,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You don't interrupt me. But we're sitting there, and I looked at him, and it made me mad.
Yeah.
And I said, tell you what, at this meeting next year, let's have this conversation again. Well, we went from being the stepchild that they wanted to get rid of to, in that year, you guys sold a bunch of those combines. And we went from the lowest performing, according to their standards, in North America to the highest performing dealer in North America. So we sat down, and I said, do you remember the conversation we had last year? No. Well, you do too.
Let me remind you, you son of a bitch. I know how this probably went.
So it was a nice victory to be able to say that to him.
Yeah. Yeah, we did sell a lot of combines. Gus, remember Gus?
Oh,
He was a big part of that.
Yep.
I mean, we have to give credit where credit's due. Like him and I remember, I think my first full year there, I don't take credit for it, but between him and I, we sold 10. He had a vision, and I'm like, I'm going to soak it up. I don't know what you're talking, but we went out and we blitzed the market. We went to every John Deere dealership, and our mindset was we're switching colors on every farm, and we're not. I remember like Demery's, like we went from the big combine to two smaller, that concept, which was one of the dumbest things to think about, but really, when he put pencil to paper, the math was right.
Yep.
It made sense.
Yep.
They're still running those today. Literally today, those same two 740s.
You still stay in touch with
Yeah.
Demery's?
I just saw John at Rural King. He's a giant. He's a big guy.
That was a nice
him and his family.
That was a nice account.
Those are awesome people. And I mean, Jackson's, they're big ones, but service fucked that one up. But anyway, we're not going to talk war stories. But from a sales perspective, there is some animosity when you get too many divisions. If like the service department or the parts department doesn't pull their weight, the sales guys are, or maybe the sales guys aren't, and these two are. Everybody has to work in harmony for it to work long term.
And that's the culture that McAllister built over the years, and it just made it fun too. We had the support of the owner of the company.
Yeah.
As long as you were producing.
And you felt it. I mean, even at my little level, I was just a sales guy. You could feel it there.
Yeah.
And that's important.
And it's a shame that it went the way it did, but I understand from the Caterpillar's dealer's perspective, it was I read this week, and I didn't realize it. You know, when Caterpillar developed whatever, the track tractor, that was back years and years ago. They did not want to pursue it anymore because they weren't an agriculture dealer. And their business is bulldozers, earth moving and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why they sold it off to Agco. So that was their Agco was their key product line, those track tractors, because at that time nobody else had one. So fast forward, the Caterpillar dealers didn't. It's a different culture dealing with farmers than it was construction people.
Yep.
One's not better than the other one. It's just a different culture.
It's just different.
And they've already got their money sewed up in the construction part of it. So the ag divisions became a burden to them. So I understand why philosophically they decided, okay, we just need to get out of the agriculture, and that's what McAllister's did. McAllister is one of the last holdout cat dealers in North America.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
About the time when you would have come on, the cat dealers were starting to drop Agco.
Oh, okay.
And it was always kind of funny sitting in those corporate meetings with who was the president of Agco then? He's Bob Crane.
Yeah, Crane. Yeah.
Nice guy. I liked him. And he'd sit there to me. He goes, "Our future is with you guys in Indiana. We're going to put all these other Massey Ferguson deals. We're going to lose them all." Well, now that's flipped. The quit making the Challenger tractor. It's now Fendt. All those dealers they was going to get rid of, they're going back to, hey, you're just the greatest guys. We want you to be the big deal. So I find that kind of humorous.
Yeah.
But it's just business, and that's what the times required to take place. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
So, just part of life.
Oh, it really is. Yeah.
So anyway, so there's a story about that. But when you said you're bringing people up with you, as a leader, that's what you have to do.
Yeah. I learned that from you.
If a leader doesn't have anybody following him, all he's doing is taking a walk.
Yeah.
You've got
somebody write that down. That is good.
You've got to be bringing people along with
Yeah.
you, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at your job, at your family. I took that philosophy on at a young age.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe it.
Yeah, I do too. I soaked it in when you taught me that. I knew when I got hired, it was like Christmas morning. I'll never forget where I was at. I was in Florida, actually. I was in between jobs, and you offered us the job, and I'm like, let's just go to Florida. Jen's mom had a little condo at the time, so it didn't cost us nothing. Went down there, and I got the email that I got it, and my whole world changed, like overnight. I was like, holy shit, I got this dream job. I'm terrified. I'm excited. I know I'm going to be challenged to no end, but you can't grow unless you're fucking nervous a little bit or scared or something. There's something.
You got to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. Growth isn't like easy or.
Nope.
I mean, it's hard.
It's painful.
It's very painful. Yeah,
it is.
And if it's not, you're not growing, in my opinion. It's gotta be tough. And every day that I was there, it was a day like I wanted to go to work. I wanted to go sell. Now, I had some guys like Crafton. Like, I'll never forget. Actually, his birthday was the other day.
Yep.
When I got introduced, we went to a little lunch deal. And I think like half the sales guys were there. Crafton's a big guy, 6'8" or something like that. And I'm introduced or shaking hands with people. You got to know Rick Crafton. I love this guy to death. He goes, I reach out my hand. He goes, fuck you. I'm Rick Crafton. I said, okay. And that was just the way he is. Just he wanted to like grab your attention. But after that, we were good. Nice guy. I mean, we're all competitive sales guys. So there were days that we hated each other. There was days we loved each other. It's just part of the culture. But man, that growth, if it wasn't for that time in my life, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And like I said, Jay is a huge part of that. Aaron Prickle's a huge part of that. And I'm just so thankful I got the opportunity to do that with you guys.
Well, I'm glad because it's the stuff that you learn in that. It doesn't matter what you do in life.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Even raising your kids. You've got to, especially in today's world, there's so much negativity out there.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be a kid growing up now.
Yeah.
It's the same issues, but they're magnified.
Mm-hmm.
I've got grandkids now that I absolutely love spending time with them, and it's so fun to interact with them and see them develop and grow and when your children come to you and ask you advice, especially when they get to be teenage,
mm-hmm.
They're in trouble when they ask advice because teenagers don't.
They don't do that.
No. When my oldest son, he was 13, 14, and he was in trouble doing something, and he got disciplined. He let me know through tears, I hate you.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
And I said, good. You're 14. You're supposed to hate me. You're not going to like me till you're 25.
I knew it. I've never unheard that since you said that. I've actually told my own son that. I said, I don't care if you like me right now. You ain't going to like me till you're 25. Hashtag Alan Esche. So I didn't say the hashtag, but I have held on to that ever since you've said that.
it was in the heat of the moment that came out, but it was effective, and he's now in his early to mid 40s, and he took. I got 3 kids, and my wife and I, we've been married. It's going to be approaching 50 years here. I think it's 47 or 48 this year.
Man.
And we dated all through high school too. She was the first girl I ever asked out.
Oh, really?
It was so petrifying. I said, "We got to get married. I can't ask anybody else out." So that's worked out pretty well. But we, we had a train wreck in life when we was in our early 20s. Mm-hmm. Everybody has them.
Oh my gosh, I've had a couple,
and they manifest in different ways in people's lives. It might be financial, relationship, health, or whatever. But you're going to have one.
Sure.
So the culture around you kind of helps you how you're going to get through it. Now, some people are just born with the driven instinct that I'm going to plow through any issue that happens in life. Mm-hmm. But there's not many people like that.
Right.
But to a lot of people, when that train wreck hits, whatever it is, you just implode, and some people just shut down for life.
Yeah.
So fortunately, my wife and I were together. We had two kids at the time. Then we had our third one a few years later. We said, our lives aren't going to turn out like we thought they were going to. Of course, that was the was me. It's devastating. We're ruined because immaturity. Mm-hmm. But so our kids are not going to suffer through this. They're going to do something with their lives. Our goal then was to get them through life to a point where they could advance us and do more with their life than what we did. Mm-hmm. So we just were committed to that, and we'd be in the back of our mind all the time. My kids are normal kids, guys. We laughed, we cried, we spanked them, it grounded them, and they're just normal kids.
Sure. They're extraordinary kids, but yeah, they are extraordinary. But I'll say it for you. They're extraordinary.
Well, I tell you, and this is way off the subject. Sorry, but you told me to
We don't have a subject. This is a podcast.
So let's see. My daughter, she was born in 1980, so she'll be 44. So it'll be 44, 42, 41.
Which one's in the middle? You just posted on Veterans Day. Was that the youngest or is that the oldest?
That's my oldest son, but middle child.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
So all 3 are married. All 3 got kids. My daughter was she was growing up her own person. She wasn't one that needed a bunch of socializing going on. She was content with herself and good academically. Wasn't valedictorian, but she was, strong academically. And she loved to work. She's just like her mom. Just wake up in the morning, feet hit the floor, she's off doing something. She's got to be busy all the time. Her husband, he was in the Marines. He was an officer in the Marines. So they lived around the United States while he was in service. They've done very well for themselves. Son-in-law retired at 38, 39 years old, and my daughter is now assistant. Anyway, she's a matter of cybersecurity for Gainbridge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is leading up to a story. This is.
I feel like I'm in a sales meeting right now. This is how our sales meetings work.
This is a long path to a story here, of not about great things that I've done, but putting forth your efforts and investing in people to get them to go forward. Mm-hmm. As a general statement, people were wound this way. Here's how I was taught it. If you go, I'm segueing. If you go hunting for crabs on a beach, mm-hmm. I've never done this, but this is what I'm told. If you go take a 5-gallon bucket, doesn't have to have a lid on it. You go through and you find a crab, you put it in there. Mm-hmm. That crab will crawl out. Mm-hmm. If you get a second crab and put in there, When the first crab starts climbing to the top of the bucket, the other crab's going to grab him and pull him back down.
Mm-hmm.
So the more crabs you get, you don't need a lid on the bucket. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
People are the same way.
Yeah.
When you see someone starting to excel that's close to you, first thing we do is criticize them. Well, they don't know what they're doing. That's just a dream. It's just bad. And if that person listens to them, they get dragged back down that bucket.
Yep.
If they don't listen, they just keep climbing, and pretty soon the person that climbed out of that bucket, everybody, all the other crabs are looking at like, huh, well, yeah, but I wouldn't want to do him. We're comfortable in this bucket.
Yeah.
So I always tried to instill in my kids, be the crab that got out of the bucket.
Yeah.
So my daughter was, she's a go-getter. She loves to work. So anyway, I'm going to come back to this. This is all going to lead up to when I decided I was finally going to retire. My son Aaron,
Yep.
the one in the military, he's currently stationed in Korea. He took full advantage of chase your dreams. I'm going to put you haven't seen my shop, but I've got, it's my man shed. I got all these I Love Me things, different places I've worked, different awards I've gotten. And
so you did build your, the home, the post frame.
I live in a barn. Yep. Live in a pole barn.
I was trying to be a little more delicate about that. Yeah, you live in
a pole barn with a concrete floor.
It's a hell of a nice one. I've seen pictures. I haven't been there, but
well, you're welcome to come see it.
I'll be there tomorrow. I'll bring the beer. You bring the cigars. I'll bring the beer.
I brought some cigars.
Jeff, can we start having cigars in here? That'd be kind of fun. You think they'd frown on that? Anyway, sorry.
So my son, he was very strong academically, and had some successes, academics and positions and stuff, and in high school, and went to college. Started out going to LSU. I said, "Why do you want to go to LSU?" Well, it's a real good college. I said, "Well, no, there's a girl down there." Yeah. No, I'm not. Well, it gets down there, she dumps him. But he was down there for a year, and then he went to another college. Then he was in a band. They played in Nashville for 10 years, and they were getting some radio time, and stuff. But it just wasn't going to happen. But I said, chase your dreams. We can help you. But at some point, you're going to have to. If it don't make it here, then whatever. The drummer of their band was Vince Gill's son-in-law, and
one of the best,
Martina McBride.
Yeah, Martina.
Her husband had the recording studio that they would go to, and he was helping out, but they didn't want to play country music. So he, bottom line, he went back to school, met this wonderful, wonderful lady. She was in dental school, and she joined the military to get her college paid for. So they hook up, they get married, and they've been married 15, going on 16 years. We think that they've only been able to live together for like 10.
Oh, wow.
Either she was stationed somewhere or he was stationed somewhere and back. So she's currently out of the military. Aaron became a doctor. She's a doctor. So they've done okay, and they 3 wonderful kids. Mm-hmm. Then my youngest son he was just content. He probably didn't talk much till he was 5. He didn't need to. Brother and sister talked for him. He was okay with anything. Story about him was he never asked for 2 stories. He never asked for anything. So come time to buy him a bicycle. My wife and I said, let's get him a really nice bicycle. So I planned the whole day. We went to look at the Schwinn's. We looked at these. We went to
the Huffies.
Just whatever store we could find that sold bicycles. I like that. Yeah, I like that. Well, you want it? I said, well, let's go look at some more. Okay. And we were at Meijer or Walmart. And he goes, yeah, that one's all right. I said, Alex, that's the cheapest bike that they've got. You can have anything you want.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. He was just content with that.
Yeah.
And he's that way to this day. But he started out, of my 3 kids, he's probably the naturally smartest.
Okay.
But he was way too laid back. and way too laid back. And finally, we had to have some tough parent moments and said, look, we're done. Get your act together. Put himself through school, graduated salutatorian.
Dang.
Got his master's in aeronautical science.
Wow.
He can design airplanes. Was salutatorian for that.
Learning to fly. It kind of ties in with not aviation. Anyway.
Put him through flight school, and he decided he didn't want to be a pilot. I said, but that's fine. I just wish I'd have known that like $100,000 ago.
It's just money.
But, yeah. But anyway, so he did. He's got a wonderful wife, two wonderful kids. So, again, I'm getting to the close of this story. They've all, they've got their homes, their family started, established, and whatever, and we're happy for them. Love spending time with all the grandkids. Like I said, it's just great. My daughter lives in Zionsville. My son is stationed he's in Korea now, but he was in Dayton. His family lives in Dayton. They got a beautiful house there. Then my son lives about 5 miles from us.
Okay.
He and his wife bought a place that's it's beautiful fit for them.
Yes.
It's just perfect. So my wife and I were sitting, we're thankful for our kids and thankful for what they've done in life, and they're all making more money than what we ever made. That's a good foundation and stuff. And we'd tell the kids growing up, said, your mom and I got a clear conscience raising you. So we've given you a foundation.
Yep.
They're never going to name a road after us. They're not going to name a city after us. We're not going to get any big plaques. You're not going to inherit money, but we've given you that foundation. You guys got to build it on your own. So we're seeing what the kids have done. So here's the kicker. When I was thinking about retiring, I loved what I was doing. I went back to the drilling company after I left McAllister's, and they just it exploded. I mean, I can remember when we had 10 people showing up for work. They say, what are we going to do with all these 10 people? Well, now they got over 50.
Dang.
And the equipment's just wonderful. It's paid for. Just an awesome financial statement. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah.
And I've been working to get replaced over the last 16, 18 months. So, heading towards retirement. So Memorial Day this past year, my daughter was up, and she's the one that has cigars with me. She'll have a cigar with me. Yeah. But my daughter and my wife will have a cigar with me before my boys will.
That's kind of cool.
So we were up there and sitting out back on the porch, having a cigar, talking, watching the sunset. And she goes, well, Dad, I'm going to the race this year at the Indy 500.
Yeah.
Which was a big deal to me. My goal growing up, that was my dream, was to be able to go to the race, someday be able to go in the pits, sit in a suite, be in a police escort, and I got to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I got to meet some. I got the Rick Mears, Emerson Fittipaldi, A.J. Foyt. I sat with A.J. Foyt and watched the race at IRP one night.
Damn, I bet that was a great conversation.
Oh, gosh.
You and A.J. Foyt.
And
it has to be a pretty legendary conversation.
Those were dreams that I had, you know, and I got to accomplish those. But I'd sit there at the race sometimes, even with the police escort. That was really cool going in, but coming back out, it wasn't that fun. And the suites were great to sit in, but you can't see the race that good.
Oh.
You just see a little blip of it. Yep.
Yeah, Tourette's.
We didn't watch it on TV in the suite.
You're still doing this?
So my daughter goes, well, I'm going to the races. I said, well, good. Said, you want to know where I'm sitting? I go, well, yeah, where? Well, we got the suite in the top floor of the pagoda. I go, you're kidding me. She goes, yeah. She goes, I want to say this next part without crying because it's tough for me.
No, it's good.
But she goes, you want to know how I'm getting in there? I go, yeah. She goes, they're flying me in on a helicopter.
No kidding.
Said, you're kidding.
Damn, that's cool.
Right then, I thought, we did it.
Yeah.
They've all passed us up. That was what our goal was. So I told them the next week, I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't need, my goal's accomplished.
Yeah.
Now, they're still not going to name a street after me. We have a ditch named after us down in Evansville, but it's probably a sewage ditch. I don't know. But you know, that's a great accomplishment as a parent.
Yes, and it's selfless.
But like when you were working with me, I always want to say with instead of for.
Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that? That's where I got it from. Yeah. I say the same thing. Nobody works for me; they work with me.
Yeah, because without each other, you're not a whole unit.
100%.
But it's the same way when you got, whether it's your friends, whether it's the waitress at the coffee shop you go to.
Mm-hmm.
I always believe you need to build them up, give them a sense of value.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I probably told you this, even though we dealt with farmers at McAllister's. I tell the people, the first two people you got to make best friends with are the custodian and the receptionist.
Yep.
They know what's going on in that company.
Yep.
And everybody treats them like crap.
Yep.
You give them a sense of value, they will help you with anything you're trying to do.
Yep.
And so anyway, I try and do that with everybody. And that's a gift, calling, whatever. I love doing that. I love doing leadership seminars, sessions, one-on-one, mentoring, whatever.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to that train wreck in life I had.
Yep.
When I thought I was so devastated, not worth anything in life, you take something bad and you work with it, you turn it into something good.
Yeah.
And that's how I get my fulfillment.
Yeah.
Now, would I like to make a lot more money doing that? Oh, yeah. You
Who
never
wouldn't?
have too much money.
Yeah, right.
But the gratification you get. The other thing I tell people, this is philosophical.
This is why I want you here.
You think long and hard about what's success.
Mm-hmm.
What are you successful? Is somebody successful? Are they successful? What is the definition of that? We look at, as a society, they've made a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're successful. Or they've got this wonderful position. They're successful. I know a lot of multimillionaires that are miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I know people very high in corporate positions that are paranoid.
Yep.
And they're stressed. And I've come to the true definition of success is nothing more than peace of mind.
Yeah. Hey, that's gold.
If you've got the peace of mind, I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're successful.
Yeah.
Because look at the people around you that are just in misery with their life.
Yeah.
What could happen to make them feel better about themselves?
Yeah, they're working to live, not living to work.
Yeah. And some people have to. I mean, we've all been there.
100%.
You got to work to put food on the table.
I've been broke more times than I've had $10 in my pocket.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yep. And that's, but you learn from that.
Those are the happiest days of my life was when I didn't have nothing. And that sounds weird, but I mean, when you have nothing, when I say nothing, I mean, we had a roof over our head and scraping by. You have nowhere to go but up if you decide that. Now, if you decide to lay down, like you were saying, some people just, when they have that train wreck in life, they just, that's their identity. They choose that as their identity.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I've had multiple train wrecks in my life. I mean, this is literally the first time I've met you since I quit McAllister. We have not talked since. So that's why this is kind of so beautiful to me. I've lost my mom. I lost my dad within 3 or 4 years of each other. Mom passed away. She fell down a flight of stairs, and I'm not going to get into it, but I didn't get to talk to her. She died. My dad, it was a December day. It was about 60. It was a warm day, and I'll never forget this. Brooklyn, my daughter, she reminds me of your daughter. She's a little killer. I love her. She said, "Dad, you should have a cigar. It's nice out, and you should have Grampy's favorite cigar." I'm like, cool. So I had an Avo number 2, lit it up, and my dad and I and Coop, whenever we'd have a cigar, we'd always FaceTime somebody to rub it in. Well, I FaceTime my dad. I'm so glad I did, and talked to him for about 5 minutes, and all of a sudden he said, "Let me call you back," and the phone dropped, and is dead.
Oh, no kidding.
Right in front of me. Like, we're FaceTime, it
man.
dies right in front of me, right? Train wreck number 2. Jen and I have had issues. We've had a couple train wrecks. But I appreciate you bringing that up because I think a lot of people, they do define themselves by the train wreck. I've never really heard that before, that verbiage. But I'm a firm believer after being under you and Jay's, training or whatever, that shouldn't define you. That's just part of your story. Too many people, even your haters, your critics, people that don't like you, they'll never let go of that, the train wreck or whatever you've done or whatever. They can't get past it, and that's always how they'll define you, and that's where they'll live. But I do appreciate you bringing that up because a lot of people need to understand you're going to have them, whether you know it or not. Shit's going to hit the fan multiple times in your life, and you got decisions to make.
No one's exempt from it.
No.
That's just part of life.
Yeah, Bo Ryan, my son, I'm proud as hell of him too. He's really taking this leadership stuff serious. He's in the weight room. He's taking his personal development serious. I mean, he has to. He's my son. I drill it into him. But I said, you've got something real special. There's a lot of young kids, 5, 6, 7 years old. He's 14, that look up to you. And you don't know the impact that you have on those kids, even
You're
at
right.
14 years old, man.
Yep.
Or at 40, I'm 46. At 46 years old, I got a whole lot of eyeballs staring at me, a lot of arrows too. So I got to be mindful of what I do. But more importantly, I want to make sure our kids know that at a young age, because I didn't know that until I hit, maybe my McAllister era, so to speak. I was kind of a piece of shit, if I'm being honest with you. I didn't take a lot of things serious. I didn't put any energy into personal development, getting better, taking my goals serious. I would be that guy that would attach to that negativity and hold on to it. Well, I let all that go years ago. Best thing I ever did. But everything that you've said, I've heard it before, and it was like 10, 12 years ago, and I still use that shit today. Like all of it today. Like all of it. Like I could almost finish some of your sentences because I knew what you were going to say. And I think that is...
Well, you don't need me here then.
Well, hell yes, I do. We do need you here. Yeah, we need to hear multiple times. I'd love to have you and Jay here, and that might be a...
Oh, we'd never get anything done then.
Well, I know, but we'd have to do that at a cigar bar, probably. I think that'd be kind of fun. But,
We can do that.
Oh, my goodness. Do you remember our trip when we went to Germany?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I got so many stories about that trip. I'll share a couple, but I don't know if you remember this. I was so thankful. I'm like, I got this awesome job. We're selling a bunch of equipment. We get to take customers to Germany. I mean, I thought I hit the lottery. So we fly to Germany. I'm terrified to fly that long anyway. I'm over it now. And Alan says, hey, I want to take you and all you guys to dinner. So we go to this nice place in Germany. I have no idea where we're at.
But in that hotel.
Yeah, that
We
hotel.
had Demery's and some other people. up
Yeah, we
there
had
with
Demery
you.
Krause.
Yeah.
We had quite a few people. We had a good group of people. Well, Alan likes his vodka martinis and olives in it. And we're in Germany. We don't speak German. Sprechen, I don't even know any of it. But this waiter comes over, this little like snooty dude, and he's like, what do you want to drink? And Alan goes, I want a double vodka with olives. And he goes, big olives. And he does this. You have to see it puts that. And this guy gets pissed off and leaves. And we're like, all right.
Oh, I forgot about this.
So this lady comes back. She's like, is something wrong? Whatever accent. And I said, no, but get this man a double, whatever it was, with some big olives. She goes, this means F you. And we're like, we had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Pissed that guy off. And I was like, and Alan's like, we probably shouldn't eat or drink anything he brings back. 'Cause we didn't know what the heck to do about it. But it was like the simplest screw up. We had no clue, but that guy got pissed.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that till you brought that up. You're
Yeah.
right. I felt bad. I had
Oh, well,
no idea.
we went and apologized. I mean, we made it right. I think we couldn't talk to him. We didn't know German.
Well, he didn't know English.
No, and he didn't know what a big olive was.
Well,
apparently,
we know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get criticized for that quite a bit because I've even in when I got to go to Vegas for I sit on the board of a financial institution, and they have a meeting in Vegas every year in December. I'm going out there in a couple weeks, and when I go, I'm the buzzkill of Vegas. I mean,
Why?
I don't party and I don't do all that stuff that people go out there to do.
Yeah, right.
You know,
I don't either, but yeah.
But I like to we get cigars with me.
Yeah.
And in fact, this year our conference is at a smoke-free resort.
Need help with that thing? I can get it.
Well, it just keeps sliding down.
Well, it's heavy, Here, you do that part. Oh, there we go. Now you tighten it up.
So anyway, but I've learned that they all got the big olives, and that for some reason that's very important to me. But I would sit out there with my big cigar, and I go, "How big's your olives?" And they show me the dish, and I had one lady. Now this is way off the subject.
This is what we like to talk about, off the subject stuff.
I forget what hotel I was at that year, but a drink out there is like $22. The buffet was $20 with alcohol included. I thought, well, I could go at the buffet, and drink.
It pencils out,
but you don't see the TVs and the lights and stuff in the buffet, and the food's not as good in the buffets as what it used to be. That's all changed. So, and if you're gambling, you get your drinks for free. Well, I don't gamble, so that's why I'm a buzzkill out there. I do everything wrong in Vegas.
I'm with you. I don't gamble hardly at all, and I'm in bed early.
But I've had one. It was a lady bartender. She might have been having a bad day. I hope she was, because it wasn't pleasant. So I ordered extra olives and a nice. It was like $6 more. So why is this more? You wanted extra ice and extra olives. I got to pay for that? Which, okay, if I got to.
Yeah, sure.
But no, I'd never had that done before. And so I paid for it, and then I made sure that when she was working, I went to another facility. Because I've had guys just, you like olives? They just fill a big glass up and just set it there next to me. And I'm in my heyday. I mean, you got something to drink, you got something to eat. I like olives and good cigar, and watching the people. Oh my goodness, I love to do that.
People watch is my favorite sport.
Oh gee whiz, there are. Yeah, it's very entertaining too.
Oh yeah,
and then I just go to bed and get up, and go to my meetings, and come home and try and wash all the Vegas off of me. But it's,
there was a story. I won't repeat that. I wasn't there. But there was allegedly a story that you fit decently well in the back of a minivan. Do you remember? I wasn't there though. Brian Gum, he told me that story. Old Gummy.
I did. They stuck me in the back of a minivan.
You had too many whiskeys or something. They put you in the back. There's a picture floating around somewhere. I swear to God, Brian Gum's got a picture of it.
I don't remember.
And he brought it up at a sales meeting. It was the funniest thing, because you can sleep anywhere.
Oh yeah,
that is the one thing about Alan. We'll be at a sales meeting, and I was like soaking it in, and all of a sudden, here's Alan. Says, "Is he praying?" And Jay goes, "He's very spiritual." I said, "For real?" He's like, "No, he fell asleep. He probably ate too much chicken." And then all of a sudden, it was your turn. You'd wake up like the Terminator, and you would go and crush it. You're like, "Yep, we're doing this." And then when you were done, you're like, "All right, see y'all later. Get out of here." That's literally how that all went down all the time. We ate well, too, at your sales meetings, so thank you for that. Jonathan Bird's fried chicken's the best chicken I ever had.
It was good, very good.
I won't repeat what we said when we were at Lucian training. I can't say this, but I won't say the words. But everybody's like, "Where's Alan at?" We had that Jonathan Bird's fried chicken at the sales meeting, and it was the best chicken I've ever had. And Updike, Tim, I love that guy. He goes, "Oh, Alan was still back there eating fried chicken like a prisoner eats, and I won't finish it." And we laughed for 20 20 minutes. Monty just know. He's like, he was sucking. He was eating that like a prisoner eats pie. How's that? We laughed about that for 20 minutes. I still laugh about that, but it's true. It's so true.
Were you with us when we were out at? I think we was coming back from Claus in Nebraska, and Chad was sitting at the airport, and Chad Stetler,
Old Stetler,
he liked his beer.
Hell yeah.
We always wanted to look at the clock, make sure it was after 10 in the morning.
Remind me about a Stetler story. I got one.
But he got us in the airport, and we got it wasn't pleasant getting on the plane. And were you with us then?
No, I missed all the legendary trips.
Okay.
I had to work, damn it. You put me out there to sell shit, so that's what I did.
Well, they stuck me in the board the plane on the wrong plane. I was going to go somewhere else. And
How the hell do you get on the wrong plane?
Well, they told me that's where we were going.
Oh.
And I made the mistake of listening to them, and they finally got me before we got on the plane, but they thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Funnier then than it was me. But anyway, so, Chad's, he's now a sales manager for IMI.
Yeah, down in Nashville.
He's in Nashville?
I don't want to misspeak. I think he moved to Nashville, Tennessee.
I lost track of where he was. He could be.
I had a pretty unique friendship. What do you call it? Friendship. We didn't like each other, then we liked each other. It's kind of a thing. I respect him. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for him, but I like him a lot. I would still talk to him to this day. But I have a funny Stetler story. I have many, but I'm not going to share all of them. I'll share this one. We had a bunch of us guys. We went to Raccoon Lake for some bullshit team building thing like that we made up. It was basically we wanted a Friday off. So Timmons and Stetler and Gummy and I don't know who else, we're all over there. And I don't even know how old I was. I was probably, say 35, whatever. And, it's just, this place was beautiful. Huge lake, looked out over the water, nice boats. And, again, I'm still kind of new, so I'm trying to fit in a little bit. And Stetler's like, hell, I'll show you around my house. You want me to give you a tour? I'm like, fuck, this is your house? I said, yeah. So he's taking me through this house, the bedrooms and all this stuff. And I'm like, damn, I have hit a lot. I'm going to kick your ass in sales. There is no doubt about it. So I'm going to get one of these. And he's like, yeah, I kind of hit it good for a couple of years and put some money away and had to burn some money. So I bought this lake house. I said, son of a bitch. Damn. And he let that go for like, I don't know, 6 months. So I'm thinking, I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, you non-selling ass clown. I could sell more. Then after a while, we were at a sales meeting, and he lets the cat out of the bag. He's like, yeah, that's this guy's. I just bought this car. That's his lake house. He just lets me go for it. I believed him forever. And I'm like, the joke's on me. And ever since that part, him and I got closer. I love him to death. I respect him, all that stuff. But at the beginning, him and I, we weren't, I don't know what it was, but we're good now. But damn, he always had those, he was a genius at that kind of stuff, pulling the wool over our eyes.
You never need to worry about what he was thinking.
You knew exactly what he was thinking. He's geared for three things. But
I always liked Chad.
Me too.
He was. I liked everybody.
There wasn't a single person there I didn't like. Yeah.
Yeah. We all worked hard. We had a lot of fun. And you guys are just all my kids. That's how I looked at it.
I'll never forget this. This goes back to that selfless piece, and if you go back and listen to some of my other stuff, you'll see a theme of selflessness and building people up and lifting people up. I think my first sales meeting with you guys, maybe we had 10 sales reps. I said 12 earlier. Maybe it was 10. It's double digits. But my first sales meeting, I was just ready to kick ass. I didn't even know what I was doing. And you stopped the meeting and you literally were visualizing. He's like, what my goal for you guys? And you always got a little emotional, which I love that because that told me you meant it. is when I go to those AGCO meetings or those CLOS meetings, I want to see my whole team up there and know that you guys did that. You never took credit for anything, but you should have. You always put it off to the other, and I always admired that, and I'm that way today because of you. I think that takes a lot of time to get there and a lot of train wrecks to get there, so to speak. That to learn that selfless piece of, like Basham Construction. I've started this in 2019. My name's on it. We do like the videos and stuff like that. I don't really want to be the face of it. Somebody has to have the balls to start it, that's what you were doing. But the end result is I want to see all you guys grow and all you guys level up and all you guys win big. And that, to me, that steered – my ship was going here. I went that way ever since then. Ever since I started working with you, and you'll notice how I talk, it's because of you. A lot of things on how I lead people is because of you. I took that stuff that I learned, and I ran with it. I've been a part of other organizations, and I've taken little pieces of everywhere I've been, and I kind of made it my own. But the biggest nut in that jar is you. And I want to say thank you for that.
Well,
and that's very sincere. And there's a reason I didn't want to meet you before this podcast and I told Jeff this, all the magic's lost because we're going to talk about all the good shit. I want to capture it. There's so many more things that'll come to mind after we're done here, but it is what it is on that.
Well, if you're getting any ratings and you want to have me back, I'll come back.
I would love to have you back all the time. I want to talk about critics, your haters, people that talk, just people that are never rooting for you. Like, how did you handle when you took over McAllister Machinery's sales division? I remember this too. When in an interview or a review, I said, he's like, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you gave us all that. I said, I want your job. You remember what you told me?
No.
You said, you don't want my job. I said, I do. And you told me the way, I'll never forget this too, because I actually have to remind myself of this. And this is not a pat on the back. So whoever looks at it that way, stop listening to this show, because that's not what it's about. You told me you'll never be happy as a sales manager. And I said, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, your biggest problem is you'll never find somebody that'll sell like you. Yeah. And you told me that, and it pissed me off. And then that didn't piss me off, like, fuck, But I thought on that for like 2 years. And then ever since then, I've never stopped thinking about it. And it doesn't mean nobody's going to be as good as you or whatever. I'm never satisfied. I'm never like, it's never good enough. Mm-hmm. So that's why I don't have I am the sales guy at Basham because I do need two of them, but I'm hesitant because they're not going to run and gun like I do. And it'll irritate me. It'll drive me crazy.
Yep.
It'll create animosity, all the things. And I don't want that. So I do need help getting over that hump at some point. But I'll never forget you telling me that. And that actually led me down that path too. It's like I was chasing the sales manager job. So, I remember when things kind of unfolded and I wasn't chosen to replace you as a sales manager. And I'm like, I know why. I'm not. It's not my time, and it's really not my venue. But there's a lot of truth to that. Like some things are hard to fill, and you have to have your expectations either met, lower them, raise them, whatever you have to do. But I've never forgotten that.
I don't remember telling you that, but that's how I felt. I'd tell you the same thing today.
I know you would.
Because you are driven.
Yeah.
And that is that's a gift in itself. When I told you some people are just born with the instincts that I'm going to plow through life. That's what they write books about. Mm-hmm. The underdog that has persevered and gotten out of the bucket.
Yeah.
They don't write books about people that stayed in the bucket.
Yeah.
And interesting you say that. I got another guy that years ago when I had a trucking company, he drove a truck for me. He drove part-time. He had a full-time job somewhere else, and he'd come of an evening, deliver loads and stuff. And my office was upstairs at that place, and he was up there every day when he'd show up to work. He was going to come up. He was going to spend 10 minutes with me no matter what. A lot of times he irritated me, but he was like you in that he's driven. I want to do this. So that was in 1990, so however many years ago that's been. He since taken over some other companies, trucking companies, and our paths crossed again. And he would haul the equipment when I was at the drilling company for it. He would some of our equipment was heavy. We couldn't overweight and oversize it, and we didn't want to get the semis to do that. Our semis were just standard load, so we'd hire this guy. And he told me one day something similar to what you just did. He goes, I was up in your office one day and was wanting to have your job kind of deal, and you told me that he said, Scott, you're never going to be happy just driving a truck. You need to get a job where you're in management somewhere, doing something. He goes, I never thought about that. And he fast forward to that. He said, I got a guy that was working for me, and he wanted to do this other type of hauling, but he didn't have the experience. So he goes, he knew another company, so I called this other guy. I said, can he drive for you evenings and weekends? Because he still needs a job to put food on the table. So I'll pay him during the day. You can have him nights and weekends. And then once you feel he is up to speed, you can just have him. The guy goes, why would you do that for me? I had a boss named Alan Esche one time, and he told me, he goes, do you remember telling me that? I said, no, I don't remember telling you that. It doesn't surprise me, but I don't remember saying it. But that goes back, it's not, when you have an impact on somebody, very seldom does it come out of a seminar and a long speech. It's those microsecond words that just hit at that time.
Yes.
And the person that tells you that, they don't even know they're doing that. They're just speaking what they know.
What they know, yeah.
But that's where I think everybody would, I shouldn't say everybody, most people would say, yeah, that such and such had a big impact on me, and it was just a microsecond, just one comment, could change their life.
Yeah.
So when you talk about your son, when you got people looking at you, a leader gives hope. If they're looking at you, they better be looking at you for a reason.
Yeah.
And they're looking at you because you're giving them hope of some kind. Maybe they want to aspire to do something like what you're doing, what you have done. They want to know, how did you get to do this stuff? And many times it's not something that we've purposely plotted out. Say, I'm going to do this, and this is going to happen, and life's not that way.
Right.
But you say, okay, I'm here in life. I want to be there in life.
Yep.
It's not a straight line. You may end up going like that.
Yeah.
But if that's still your goal, you can. Many times you can get there.
Yeah.
But it's painful.
It's very painful.
It's very painful.
Yeah.
So
leadership's not easy. It's lonely too.
It's lonely if you make it that way.
Ooh, I like that.
I go back to say, if you're alone in leadership, you're not a leader.
Really? Tell me more about that. I like that.
Well, if you're helping to develop people, I don't have a core of people that just come to me every day and say, "Oh, you're so wonderful." You don't get that.
Right.
The sincerity, I haven't spoken to you in years.
Right.
But the impact was there, and we could pick
Still
up
is.
talking right where we've left off years ago.
Yep.
So that tells me we had a positive experience together.
Yes.
There are other people that we've worked with over the years that you don't even remember their names.
Sure.
You don't even remember you worked with them. But it's those one-on-one deals that I'm very comfortable when you say it's lonely. You need to look back. Do you really have? Are you really lonely, or are you just lonesome at that moment in time?
Man, that's gold right there.
Everybody gets that way. I mean, but you're not really alone, because with a phone call, with a interaction, in less than a minute, you can be in contact with somebody that's still meaningful and impactful to you.
That is Man, that hit me right between the eyes. And I want to change the way I say that now. When I say lonely, I have meant it lonely. Sometimes you feel, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's the season you're in, so to speak, like whatever you're doing, you just feel like there's no, it really kind of falls back on the leader now that I think about it. I could pick up the phone and call somebody for, like, hey, I got to bounce this off of you, versus trying to pioneer it all by yourself. As my dad used to say, go blaze your trail. You know, he'd say that to me 1,000 times because that's the way I was. I'll do it my way. I'll show you. When I was 8 years old, whatever, through my whole life, I've always felt like I had to do it by myself. And I'm glad that you said that, because I'm going to have to course correct a little bit and think about that a little bit more. I just had a podcast with my oldest daughter, and we shared about leadership can be lonely at times, and she agreed with that too. So I'm going to challenge her on that. Why do we feel lonely? We shouldn't. Sometimes you just don't get the support or maybe the feedback that you need to hear, and it makes you feel lonely. I don't know.
When you're in a position of leadership,
Yep.
it can be friends, groups you're with, organizations, employer. You got to make decisions, and hopefully they're ethical decisions. Mm-hmm. And it's a decision that is best for the group.
Right.
How many people do we know that, you got, here's an example I just read this week about the CEO of John Deere. He's under criticism now because they're wanting to send all these jobs overseas. And, you know, after Trump got in, he said, well, you know, you're going to get all these big tariffs and everything. And the perception then that the people see is they always put, well, if he does this, John Deere will make this much money, and his compensation package is going to go way up. So the perception is that person, that single person, is looking out for themselves to increase their money, their financial position,
Yep.
and to heck with everybody else that might suffer. Now, that might not be accurate, but that's the perception.
Mm-hmm.
So using that as an example, if there are times as a leader when the right decision may be something that is not to my own advantage, but it's better for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. That's tough to do that, because, you know, whether it's financial loss, whether it's loss of position or pride or prestige or whatever, mm-hmm. but a true leader is going to do what's best for everybody.
Yep.
Now, you're not going to make everybody happy.
Right. We don't sell ice cream.
That's, yeah. It's just, that was something I struggled with my whole life. I wanted everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
I wanted everybody
Same.
to know every verse to Kumbaya. I wanted to, you know, all this stuff. Great goal to have, but it's not reality.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have to make a stand, and I've had to make stands before in different positions that were not popular,
mm-hmm.
but it was what I truly believed was the right thing to do. And then you can feel lonely.
Yeah.
When you got nothing but the naysayers giving you input. You're wrong. This is cruel. You're mean. You're a bad person. You know, you say, oh, maybe I am a really piece of crap. I don't know. I really believe this.
Okay, so I want to go on a deep dive on this. How do you get through that? So I'm dealing with this right now, literally. It's all work related, but how do you, when people call you like crazy or you're wrong or you get all the negative noise all the time, right? I've had customers like write me letters of something they were unhappy about that really didn't have much to do with us, and I never read them. Like when I post stuff on social media, I post and ghost. Like I'll post something and I don't get in the comments. I rarely get in the comments. I don't want to read them. I know there's probably a lot of good there. Maybe there's some bad. I just don't want to get caught up in the comments. I don't want to get caught up in the negativity or even get a big head if it's too much positivity, right? How do you get through you as a person, because it's just you? I guess you're helping me here with this loneliness piece of leadership. How do you self-check and make sure, hey, I'm not crazy. Hey, I have core values for my company, and that's how I make all my decisions. It's like, does it check all those boxes? If it does, it's probably a pretty good decision. If I need to take it and call Cooper or somebody, hey, I need your advice, your opinion, take all that away. When you have all this negative crap hitting you, how do you not get sucked into that and believe it? Because a young person, or really anybody that isn't mentally strong, can buy into that negative shit.
Experience helps.
Okay.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
It needs to happen to you more than once before you never get calloused from it, but you accept it.
Yeah.
You can accept it. And your brain never shuts off. When you got stuff going on, it's like in the construction business. Do I have enough materials for this job? The customer doesn't want us to wipe our feet on their carpet. We got to do this. There's something going on. If we do this, and if we do this, then this thing's going to happen. If we do this, it's going to be a better result. And all. So your brain never shuts off. It's always. I've had people, my wife especially, I must get this look on my face.
I've seen
it's not pleasant.
I've seen it.
And they what are you thinking? I don't know, because I'm in that flowing mode, and it takes me out of it. I can't even tell you what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
But
I say I get lost in my thoughts probably 10 times a day.
But when you have to make a firm stand on something, you got to make sure your data that you've used to make that decision is justifiable.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone comes back to you, especially if it's somebody that you respect, there's some people that's always just going to say, hey, that's just bad.
Yes.
And yet that's just what they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
But you get somebody that goes back and forth with you, that you got that respect with, and understanding. It's when they come to you and say something against what you're thinking. The person that's always telling me that, it's stupid, it's bad, it's white noise. You just hear that. But you still hear it.
Sure.
Someone's not happy. What can I do to make them happy? Can I? Then we'll look at it. Can I not make them happy? No, it's not going to happen. Let's go on. Mm-hmm. Get that out of your system.
Yeah.
But the person that comes back to you that says, no, you shouldn't do that. I want to hear why they're telling me that, because that means I need to go back and look at my data again that I've used to make that decision. Once I process that, I might modify it because, hey, it makes sense. I didn't see that. Mm-hmm. Or, no, I have to go forward with this. What's very painful is when you decide you got to go against that person's opinion, and you don't want to hurt them. Mm-hmm. You don't want to lose that respect.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah.
But if they're a true friend, they're going to respect you back.
Yeah.
And
a true friend.
A true friend. And you find out through those train wrecks who your true friends are.
Yep.
And you'll always be surprised.
Yeah, you will.
The person that rises up is not the person that you think you're going to.
There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing and friends, man. There's a lot of them. Yeah.
But you still, again, you can't be. How many times have you seen someone that has made a decision? We're going to do X, Y, Z. They get enough. Okay, well, I was only kidding. We're going to do A, B, C.
Wishy-washy.
They lose respect just instantly. So it's a balancing act, because we're human. We're all going to make mistakes. That's a fact of life. If you have chosen to make a wrong decision and you're convinced that it's wrong, don't let your pride swallow it up.
Yeah.
Go to the people and say, hey, I was going to do this. Is pointed out to me, I was wrong.
Yeah.
You'll gain more respect by that than just changing, flipping all the way over. Does that make sense to you?
It makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
Nobody, you just can't flow with the wind. And whatever you're doing is going to suffer. It's not going to be a success. You're not going to go from point A to point B if you're just all over the place. It's
Yeah.
just turmoil.
Yeah.
And turmoil it just breeds dissatisfaction,
It sucks.
no productivity, no good results.
Yeah.
You got to stand for something.
Yeah. Or you'll fall for everything. Aaron Tippin song.
But-
We probably get kicked off Spotify for saying that.
Well, also though, when you started your business,
Mm-hmm.
you said you got core values.
Mm-hmm.
So every decision you make, you reference those core values just automatically in
Yep.
your head.
Yep.
And if it doesn't fall in those core values, if it's way out, not even going to think about it. It's out of your mind.
Right.
If it kind of makes a legitimate compromise and make this work, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But you got those core values you go with.
Mm-hmm.
So Basham Construction today is not going to bid to build the largest skyscraper in the world
Right.
because it's just not fit for
We're
that.
not doing that. Yeah.
But there are some people, hey, yeah, let's just do it. Well, could it work? It could. Would the odds of it working be very high?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So nobody can do everything.
Right.
No organization can offer everything to everybody.
Right.
What you can do the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you can get to this peace of mind, success of, but there's a growth spurt that goes, I go back to this drilling company that I was with. They started out with one drill behind a used pickup truck. And now up until I think we sold it a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, had the largest drill in the state of Indiana. So we were getting the great big jobs that other companies couldn't handle. But it wasn't, and we made money with it. It wasn't huge money we made with it, but we made good money with it. Paid the machine off and everything. But the business model to run that was so much different than everything else we were doing that I've finally got the owners and I talked quite a bit. I said, yeah, you can do it, and you're doing it good, but look at the resources it takes to do that. Our business model is these other multiple smaller drills than this great big one. And it made sense on paper. So we decided, okay, that's out of our wheelhouse. Even though we could do it, we could do a lot better as an organization specialized in these other things.
Yep.
So we sold it, and they've
Skyrocketed.
yeah, the profits just I shouldn't say it's not all about profits, but the growth
Yeah. Growth. Yeah.
really it showed itself.
Yeah.
So the data we were using ended up being accurate to make that business decision. But you need to know your limitations. Don't ever fall short of your dreams. Don't ever shut your dreams off, because dreams might not be a reality, but they can be an input for growth in something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell my kids all the time, they get tired of hearing it. They won't when they get older. And I have literally word for word said this to my son, Bo Ryan. You're not going to like me till you're 25. And that's what you told your son. We have a wonderful relationship. All four of my kids, we have a great relationship. But I forget where I was going with this. Sometimes I get lost in my thoughts. But I tell him, what did you just say? Sorry. I do. It's hard. I'll be honest. Sometimes when you're in front of somebody you've been yearning to talk to for a while, I kind of forget what I'm doing. But anyway, we'll just table.
You can only do so much you can only do so much. You got to do what you're good at.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll come back to it. It'll pop into my head. But damn it, what was that? What was I going to say about him? Anyway, it'll come back to me. Yeah, I don't even remember. Maybe I'm having a stroke. I don't know. I'm not.
It's
No. No, I did. I was going to go somewhere, and I completely forgot what I was talking about. But anyway, carry on.
It
carry
gets
on.
worse when you get older.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, I literally sometimes it just pops out of my head. But what has life been like, though? I mean, I know after you've officially retired now,
Yeah.
and what's the rest of the life look like? Like, what are your aspirations? Are you fully retired? Just what's happening?
Well, I'm not looking for a job.
Well, that's why we brought you on here. I was gonna see if you'd take it
But-
over here.
Go back to what we said earlier. I still love being around dirt,
Yeah.
and I bought I got a mini excavator and a skid steer, and I'll do little jobs on the side. I don't want anything big. I just want to do it myself. I don't want any employees, but I love doing that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that need just hey, I need this. I cleared out of woods for a guy.
You do foundation work? I could probably get you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a call. We do remodels and stuff like that.
No.
Okay. He says no.
I show up with my excavator with no shovel. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
But fortunately, I'm good enough. You don't need a shovel.
Yeah, that's good.
So I love doing that, and I'll do that. Oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 days a month. Get something. And that's good enough to get my fixed. And where I live, I've got the woods and stuff, and I'm always out there doing something with it.
I remember you sharing every sales meeting. You had. I've never been out there, but you had this little barn. And you'd leave the door open. You would tell a story, and we'd always put ourselves there. You'd either have a cigar or you'd take a nap. You'd always say, like, I'm taking a nap. It was the best nap I ever had. I got my little door open to feel the breeze. Do you remember? You could talk about that, and it made us young guys at the time, were like, damn, that nap sounds kind of nice. The way that you would
I still do
describe,
that.
I know. I'm sure you do.
I've got in fact, in my man shed, I now have 2 TVs up in there, and 4 lazy boys with cigars, and got my humidor out there, and it's just now.
Does Christine have a she shed?
Oh
Your
yeah,
wife?
oh yeah.
Or is that called the house?
No, oh no. That's
She's got her own she shed?
Oh gosh, yes.
Let's hear. Maybe we should have had her on.
If you ever want to have somebody talk about flowers and landscaping and stuff, she could write a book.
Really?
But
On
she
that?
doesn't. She doesn't want. She would come to your house. You'd say, "Hey, Chris, could you? I really want to landscape and flowers and stuff." She'd come out there and she'd do all that. She'd buy everything. She wouldn't let you pay her.
I'll have Jen call. I'll call her.
That's the bad thing about it. Because I said, Chris, you could write a book. People would pay you a lot of money.
Yeah.
We got people that drive by our house just to look at the flowers and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she just, she can tell you what this plant does that, this plant. Well, she got it where all summer long, we got flowers in bloom. The one flower will color go away, and as soon as that goes away, another color. It is pretty nice.
Yeah.
If she dies before I do, which we're at that age, you got to think about that.
Oh, yeah.
I would rather outlive her because I just don't want her to have to.
Oh, yeah.
It would just be easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've also told her, and I've told the kids, I said, hey, if your mom dies before me, it's all going to be gravel. We're not going to have flowers because there's no way I could do
Yeah.
this. So anyway, we built this house. We've been there, should be about 8 years.
I kind of remember, I was kind of not really part of it, but I had the Morton building background.
Yeah,
and I remember not helping you design it, but we talked a little bit.
I think it was your buddy that bought it, Cooper, wasn't it?
Might have been.
Anyway.
Cooper, no, it might have been either Cooper or, hang on, I forget the other guy's name. He wasn't there too long. Anyway, I remember that.
But they were, we got it from Morton, and no complaints at all. I'd build another one today, just like it. It was a great experience. But now where was I going with it?
See, it happens sometimes. I just
but
want
I'm
to
a lot
say,
older.
I know, but sometimes when you're in here, you lose what you're supposed to say.
We built this house, and it was a field. Mm-hmm. And the houses we were at before, we had a lot of trees around us, which I was ready to get away from trees because I don't like raking leaves.
Yeah.
So she goes, well, since we're going to be out in this open, said I'd really like to have something in case we get a bad storm that I could get in out of the weather. So that makes sense. And there's a beautiful mound right next to the house. So I'm sitting there looking at it, and she's got a beautiful garden. Just it's an amazing garden. But that's her passion. She loves it. It's not work to her, and that's how she relaxes. And and she doesn't ask for help. Once in a while, hey, could you help me make such and such? But she's not in no way, shape, or burden or anything on that. It's more, it's just her passion, and it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, I could take into that hill. I could bury a shipping container.
Oh, I like where this is going.
And then have a dirt mound over the top of it. She'd have a place for a cellar to put.
So those things are watertight, obviously.
Well, yeah. Now the one I bought wasn't, but yeah. But I got a discount. So I was running past her. She goes, yeah, I like that. I like that. So we buy a shipping container, and I had a dozer and stuff, and I dug a hole in the side of it, shoved it in there, got dirt all piled over it. I'm happy, going to make her some nice, pretty doors that go in and out of it and stuff. Well, then our neighbor comes down. He owned the land where we built it, and he built a mansion. And it's all tied together. So what it looks like is he's got this mansion, and I look like the groundskeeper at my place. But it's all tied together, landscaped, and he's a retired oncologist, and he just is just a hoot. We just have so much fun together. Well, he comes down, he's talking to Chris, and he's got, before they leave, it now has a second story on the top of it.
Of the shipping container?
Yeah. I had to build it, and it's...
With another shipping container?
No. It's stick built.
On top of a shipping container?
On top, yeah. So people come around and go, hey, what's that building over there? So it's
the glasses are coming out. This is when it's getting real, when the glasses come out.
Well, you need to see that. I mean, this will bring tears to your eyes.
I am highly emotional.
She loves it. She's got the thing all decorated. She's got a refrigerator with her wine up there, and it's all the pictures and stuff. I don't see much stuff from the garden in there, but it's still in the garage. But
she goes out and hangs out there. Are you allowed in there?
Well, yeah.
Is she allowed in yours? So you have separate sheds?
Oh yeah. Mine's across the road.
You're a legend, man. How did you sell that, or was it to her to have your own sheds? You guys love each other.
Well,
don't you? Hello.
Yes, yes, we do. It's I guess we never talked about that. We just She knows that I like to go work on stuff, and I make things, weld stuff up, and make stuff out of wood, and like doing maintenance on the equipment and stuff. And she likes her gardening stuff, and we're kind of unique.
Well, give us some marriage advice. There's a lot of people that could use it nowadays. You know what I mean? Holy cow.
Oops.
That's her she shed?
Yeah.
Daggone, that's pretty nice. Daggone, that's taller than your house.
It's in the second story on a hill.
Man.
It's like
did you have to get a permit for that? Oh, hold on. Yeah, we won't talk about building permits.
No, technically I didn't have to because it's not a building. It's just a shipping container.
That's interesting. That is pretty cool. I've not seen that.
So, yeah. So anyway, but she loves it. It fits her, and she has a good time with it, and I'm happy with it.
Well, that's good. I'll ask a couple more questions, and we'll wrap this thing. We've been going about an hour and 40. People will listen to all of it, I'm sure, but give us some advice from a marital standpoint. Like Jen and I, we own another business, so hardly ever see each other, and it can get stressful. It can get all the things. What would you, and just in generality, you've been married for almost 50 years. You've been through a lot of shit, a lot of things. What kind of advice would you give, like driven couples, to not bring it home, so to speak?
You're at a tough age because of the age of your children. Mm-hmm. And your children run your life as they should.
Yep. We're very, very hands on every
because
night.
you owe that investment to them as a team.
That's yep.
I strongly believe that every so often, you two just need to get away by yourselves. That could be maybe a day trip. That could be a week vacation somewhere, or a long weekend, or just time that where you're out, not staying at home. You got to go away.
Yeah.
You got to get a neutral environment where you can feel refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be long enough and intimate enough that you can talk.
Okay.
So that you realign each other, what your core values are as a couple.
Yep. Yep.
And, we want to raise our kids to do such and such, and to do this, do that. And this child is going to be needing this. And so you just kind of get back on the same page for that. But you also are away to where you don't see the window that needs painted. You don't see that
makes
kind of
sense.
stuff.
Okay.
You're at a fresh outlook, and you have to make time for that.
Yeah.
If you don't, and I've got some friends that are close to your age, going through that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Very driven couple, very successful, loving couple, and they've started butting heads.
Yeah.
And what they really needed to do was, and it finally come to a head and blew up, which sometimes that's good. Sometimes the best thing you can have is a big argument.
I agree. Yeah. I do agree with that. Yes.
As painful as that is,
Yes.
what that does is it takes all that emotion and gets it to the core where you can just get it flushed out.
Yeah.
Once that emotion's gone, then you got this cleansing feeling inside that you can absorb and get back to what you're.
I am literally going through that right now, like today and yesterday and the day before. It's nothing bad. It's just that I'm the kind of guy that if something pisses me off, I won't address. Like, it could be small, it could be kind of big, whatever. I let that basket fill up, so to speak, and then I flush all that out. I know that's not ideal. That's how I'm wired. I'm not one to complain. I'm not one to be all salty about stuff. But at some point, I will flush a lot of stuff out. Probably not the healthiest thing in the world. I know that about myself, so that's a good thing. But I also want people to learn from my mistakes, and if I have to be the guinea pig, I'm okay with that. That's why I'm talking about it. But what other ways could you deal with that instead of like not bottling it up? I really don't bottle it up. I collect it. And when I've had enough, when my bucket's full, I flush it out. It ain't pretty. It's not like bad, but it's just, I let it all, I say it all, get it all out. Then I do feel better. But after every storm, you got to pick up the sticks.
Yep.
You got to pick up all that shit.
Yep.
So I'm trying to avoid that part. How do you navigate that? Like, I'm very driven, and I'm balls to the wall. I get up, my feet hit the floor at 6 a.m. I'm going, just like you said about your daughter. I'm that way too. But to have a healthy relationship, how do you not do that? How do you not let that bucket fill up with all the shit that you're pissed about and then dump it? Or is that a good way? I don't know.
Again, experience helps.
Yeah.
But and everybody's unique and some stuff. But if you already know you let your bucket get too full, that tells you right there you need to empty your bucket out a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're constrained by the activities you got, financial and whatever. Can we get away this? We got plenty of money. Can we get away this weekend? No, I got to do this, do this. You got to slow down your life sometime.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that, okay, here's another. I've had I hate to keep bouncing around on you. But
This is great. Do it. Bounce around like a basketball.
I have had, I may have told you this before. And if I have, you're going to hear it again.
You've said it.
But I've had the opportunity and the blessing, as odd as this sounds, I've had 10 friends that I've lost to cancer that have asked me to be with them on their journey from the diagnosis to their death.
Really?
Yes. I haven't told you this before.
Well, no, you have similar. I don't know if
So-
it was 10.
There, first time I was thrust into that, I don't know what to do about this. What do you say? And it wasn't that difficult. It came more natural to me than maybe some other people.
Okay. To help them along that journey?
Yeah, because if you were told today, like, get your affairs in order, you're going to be dead here in 90 days. How do you know what you're going to do?
There's nothing more eye-opening than that, I'm sure.
So in that process, and this just happened. I didn't plan this. I ask every one of them the same 3 questions, because I asked the first one the 3 questions. And I thought, well, that went pretty good. I'll ask the second one. And then it started. It started in being impact. First question I'd ask them: are you scared? Not one of them said they were afraid.
Really?
That shocked me.
That shocks me.
That just absolutely shocked. Oh. I said, my next question was, are you mad at God? Not one of them was mad at God. Some of them were
confused, maybe?
no, established Christians. Some of them weren't. But they all knew God.
Mm-hmm.
They respected the impact God has on lives.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them was mad. That shocked me. That
shocks me
really
too.
shocked me. The third question I'd ask them is, what's important to you right now? And every one of them said the same thing: my family and friends.
No kidding.
Every one of them. Some of these people were very, very wealthy. Some of these people didn't have any money. The same thing.
Damn, that is powerful.
And so I can tell you from that experience, when you get on your deathbed, that's what's going to be important to you. So it goes back to the goal we had. Here's your dream that you want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you now that that's what's going to be important to you if you have the opportunity to experience death in a process other than just an impact.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know that's what it's going to be at the end, you better be developing that here, because your most stressful time as a couple will be at the kids' age that yours are at now, and it's going to get more intense as they get closer to the end of high school, and then into college. Once you graduate, they graduate high school and they go on if they go to college or trade school or just get just getting their life started.
Yeah. There's water
You'll
there
notice-
too if you want one.
You'll notice that the stress level changes a little bit when they get that. Once they're on their own, you go from the highest stress point in your relationship to when they're gone. Most couples come back around and they rebond tighter than they've ever been before.
And some get divorced.
Well, that's true.
You know, I think that's the dumbest thing. Why, but yeah.
Well, there's uniqueness to every circumstance, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is a big picture.
Yeah.
So if you know that, and the data I'm giving you, that didn't come from me. I've had professional psychologists and stuff share that information, and it happened to us. It was
Remind me to bring up the psychologist in the interview. I have a story about that.
okay. So
If you can remember, I'll probably forget.
So anyway, knowing those statistics,
Yep.
again, prepare yourself. My wife and I did that. We always made a promise at least once a year, just her and I would go somewhere. Many years we didn't have the money to do that, so it wasn't anything extravagant, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It is get away from your familiar surroundings in a new, go to a park, go somewhere, but you got to spend quality time together
Yeah.
and get that basket emptied out.
Yeah. Man, I needed to hear that.
Then I can, for my wife and I, Chris is, we talked about her gardening. Her cooking is even better than her gardening, and she loves to do that. And we built the house. She's got 2 big sinks in her kitchen and a pot filler so she can do her canning and stuff.
Yeah.
And I want, I was, for the first time in our married life, was able to give her things that I know she wanted, and we finally could. Mm-hmm. That's not a woe was me story, but that's just another goal I had.
Sure.
I've always wanted to give her more than what I always wanted to give her more than what I was able to financially.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we were able to do that to a degree, but her personality is, when it's hard for everybody to like you, she's probably the exception. I don't know anybody that doesn't like her.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And she was like that as a child. She just had that personality, that selfless, encouraging. People just gravitated to her. They do to this day. Mm-hmm. But boy, if I would, I've never criticized her cooking. In 50 years, let's just round it to that. There's only been 2 meals I wouldn't eat that she made. One of them she wouldn't eat.
Oh.
And I don't remember what the second was. So that's a pretty good track record, for that many years. But she would be real sensitive, especially when the kids, a mother worries about her children different than the dad does.
Oh, yeah.
There's no stronger bond than a mother.
Right.
So if she was getting all this pressure in herself, if the kid's doing this, if I'd make one little comment about, we having pork chops. Yeah, are they not okay?
Oh, shit.
It just, she would snap at that.
Yeah.
Which the pork chops was fine. I was just asking what we were having.
Yeah.
So, but now that they're gone, and it's just us 2, and we're both retired, her sense of humor has come up. It's come up some.
Okay.
Plus, that comes with, you got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Oh, yeah. I'm a firm believer in that.
You have to do that.
Yeah.
And she would struggle with that, but she's getting better about it. So now I can make a joke about, look at the meal. Oh, is this, what is this?
It's what you're eating for dinner.
Yeah. I mean, and she'll interact in a humorous way now.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't happen when our kids were your.
The stresses were different.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
That's good. I think that's what I needed to hear. Sometimes you just got to pull back a little bit and you got to take some time. You just got to take some time and smell the roses. Stop and smell the roses a little bit. As cliche as that sounds, but.
And we reflect back on things that we've done on those getaways. They weren't extravagant, but it wasn't what we did. It's why we did it. Mm-hmm. And we'll reminisce about stuff that we did. I remember when we went to the to this and we did that and stuff. It was so that you just have to do that.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And you can do that even if financial burdens are upon you. There are still ways to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's many options on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm done regurgitating knowledge.
Well, Alan, I just want to tell you, I still look up to you, and I love you, and I'm very, 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 very thankful that our paths crossed many years ago. I'm very thankful for you and Jay, you specifically. You took all us guys in, and you created. I don't know anybody that wasn't in that organization that is not successful to this day, and we all owe it to you. We owe some to Jay as well. All the people that we worked with. When I started this podcast, and Jeff, I want to show some of these things to you after this. I took notes on podcasts 5 years ago. I have voice recordings. That's how long I've been wanting to do this, and it's that man right over there as to why we're doing this. And you were the first guy that I wanted on this podcast, and I'm very grateful that you took the time to do it.
Well,
It means the world to me, and I want to have you back on, and I'll be a little bit better prepared with my questions in my memory, apparently. But I want to say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being on. So
thank you for having me.
All right, guys. If you guys got anything out of this show, please share it. and tell people about it. Hit the subscribe button. Give us some feedback in the comments, emails. I'm not hard to find. Text me, whatever it is. But again, thanks for being here, Alan, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you.